This is JAYDEN MYRICK, a 17-year-old facing charges for the murder of 34-year-old Christian Brewer. On August 18, 2018, in northeast Atlanta, Brewer, a father and husband, was leaving a wedding with his brother and friends when MYRICK, a self-proclaimed member of the YSL gang, approached the group outside the Capital City Country Club. Armed and ready, MYRICK demanded their belongings. After robbing the group, he coldly turned the gun on Brewer, shooting him in the chest before fleeing the scene. Brewer was rushed to a nearby hospital, but tragically, he succumbed to his injuries. This is the same YSL gang with alleged ties to Grammy-winning rapper Young Thug, currently on trial in Fulton County. Prosecutors even referenced Young Thug's lyrics in court, hinting at connections between gang activity and certain verses, including one that chillingly alludes to robberies. In court, MYRICK displayed shocking casualness, refusing to offer any apology to Brewer's grieving family. When given the chance to speak, his words to them were nothing short of cold-hearted. "I hope they find the person that killed their family member." The prosecutor, Chris, emphasized MYRICK's blatant lack of remorse and the deep disrespect he showed towards Brewer's loved ones, highlighting how this attitude only compounded the family's suffering. Brewer's father had previously begged the court to deny MYRICK bond, pleading with the judge to keep his son's killer behind bars. In the end, the judge listened to both sides but found MYRICK undeserving of leniency. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 3 life sentences for the armed robbery and assault of Brewer's brother. In St. Johns County, Florida, 18-year-old AIDEN was brought to trial in a courtroom filled with the grief-stricken Bailey family and a shocked community. His crime? The brutal and unthinkable murder of 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, a cheerleader and student at Patriot Oaks Academy. Fu inflicted 114 stab wounds on his schoolmate, including 49 defensive wounds, as she tried desperately to protect herself. It happened on the night of May 9, 2021, when Fu convinced Bailey to meet him under the guise of a friendly gathering. Surveillance footage later showed the two walking together near a retention pond, the very place where her body was found the next morning. While the community searched for Bailey, Fu shockingly posted on social media, posing with a peace sign behind a police car, asking if anyone knew her whereabouts. Friends and classmates came forward, revealing Fu's disturbing obsession with violence. Even his girlfriend described his fantasies of killing, detailing how he would pretend to slit her throat as if it were a game. The evidence stacked up: a blood-stained knife tip found near Bailey's body, bloody clothes in Fu's room, and stories from friends that painted him as someone captivated by dark, violent thoughts. On February 6, 2023, Fu pleaded guilty to the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristan Bailey. During his sentencing on March 24, 2023, Judge R. Lee Smith noted the profound impact of the crime on the community, calling it the most shocking case he had encountered in his 16 years in the county. Even as the judge pronounced the life sentence, Fu showed no reaction, his face a cold, expressionless mask. Although sentenced to life, Fu will be eligible for parole after 25 years due to his age at the time of the murder, a detail that left many in the courtroom feeling unsettled and haunted by his chilling lack of remorse. In St. Petersburg, Florida, the tragic murder of police officer David Crawford unfolded on the night of February 21, 2011, when a routine burglary call turned fatal. Officer Crawford, a respected veteran, was responding to a report of a possible break-in near Tropicana Field. As he arrived, he encountered a young suspect, 17-year-old Nicholas Lindsay. Approaching Lindsay, likely perceiving him as a typical juvenile offender, Officer Crawford had no idea he was about to face a deadly confrontation. In a sudden and calculated move, Lindsay raised a handgun he'd purchased on the streets just a week prior and fired multiple shots at the officer. Despite Crawford's attempt to respond, he was unable to protect himself from the barrage of bullets. Lindsay fled, leaving Officer Crawford fatally wounded. A fellow officer later found Crawford and called for immediate medical help, but tragically, he was pronounced dead at Bayfront Medical Center. In Memphis, Tennessee, 19-year-old Shelby Isaac stood trial for the deaths of Eddie Tate, his girlfriend Edwina Thomas, who was 8 weeks pregnant, and their unborn child. This tragic incident unfolded on January 22, 2016, in the 2100 block of Westchester Circle, with the shocking motive tied to hair extensions. Isaac had initially purchased $250 worth of hair from Tate, and dissatisfied with the product, she arranged to meet with him again under the pretense of buying more. However, the prosecution argued that her true intent was to reclaim her money through violent means. According to Assistant District Attorney Glenn Beatty, Isaac lured Tate to the location and opened fire on his vehicle, resulting in the deaths of both Tate and Thomas. Key testimony came from witness Gary Dodson, who saw Isaac shortly after the incident, reportedly with cash and blood-stained clothing. He identified her as the person who had fired the gun, emphasizing the tragic loss of not only Tate and Thomas, but also their unborn child. In the Washtenaw County Trial Court of Ann Arbor, Michigan, 18-year-old DANTA WRIGHT sat with an unsettlingly unbothered demeanor, facing charges for the murder of Jordan Klee, a promising high school senior whose life ended tragically before graduation. Jordan Klee, a standout at Pioneer High School and an aspiring student at the University of Michigan, was found dead on October 4, 2016, near Pine Lake Village condominiums. A maintenance worker discovered his body, lifeless with a fatal gunshot wound to the back of his head, a tragic end to a life filled with potential. Following a swift investigation, authorities arrested DANTA WRIGHT, along with 2 other teenagers, Delano Grayson and Marius Ellison, who were all allegedly linked to gang activities. Months later, in a 2017 court hearing, WRIGHT made a casual confession, admitting that what started as a planned robbery had escalated into murder. He admitted to pulling the trigger, confirming he had shot Klee at close range. As WRIGHT's sentencing approached, emotions in the courtroom ran high. During a heartfelt victim impact statement on behalf of Jordan's grieving mother, Karen Klee, WRIGHT appeared disrespectful, smiling and nearly laughing, as if unmoved by the pain his actions had caused. Karen's statement was filled with deep sorrow, expressing the profound loss she felt in her life. "I've lost laughter and love," she shared. "I no longer have the hope of grandchildren. Holidays and birthdays will never be the same.